We are live. Hi, Mac. Welcome to Venture with Grace.
Hi, Grace. Super excited and happy to be here. Thanks for having me and Stuut.
So to start the show, I want to give a quick shout out to our amazing sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Nebius, the ultimate cloud for AI innovators. Nebius provide AI infrastructure you can count on, combining reliability and speed with flexibility and engineering support unmatched by hyperscalers. AI leaders like Meta, Shopify, and Higgsfield already partner with Nebius to run their AI workloads. Plus, venture-backed startups can save up to 150K on compute costs when they apply for access. Visit Nebius.com or Nebius.com/startup to learn more. Or you can use code GRACE. You may get a surprise discount. Okay, to start the show, I want to give the audience a little bit of your background. So you have worked at various engineering roles like since since I guess like the Wells Fargo journey. So like it was like
Yeah.
Wells Fargo, VMware, you were the founding tech lead of a startup, and then later on you were the VP of engineering at GitLab before becoming the CTO or senior vice president of engineering of Flow Accounts to now you're the CTO of Stuut, which is a agency and COSA backed company. Why don't we start with like what are some core lessons that you've learned early on in your career, kind of shaping into who you are today?
Yeah, that's great. So let me take it back to VMware. I spent 5 years at VMware, very fortunate enough to join when they were scaling the team and had great mentors. I think VMware, I learned really how to be technically strong.
Mhm,
If folks who don't know what VMware does, we allow a physical machine to run multiple operating systems. So back in the Windows 2000 or Windows XP, you can run multiple of these operating systems in just one machine or run Mac OS on a Windows machine. It was groundbreaking at the time. What
mhm,
I learned at GitLab was shipping enterprise software. And I think we invented CI without knowing. One of the senior directors there, his name was Anand, I still remember. He was asking us, hey guys, there are bugs happening every day. How do we stop them? And we said, why don't we just run the test 24/7? And each time the test fails, we found a bug. We
mhm.
called it CAT, continuous automated test, CAT. And that is what CI is today. But I think we unintentionally created that category back in 2008, back in those days.
Wow, that was such a OG move. I want to start with like, I feel like so the I was listening to a podcast you were on, and then you guys were talking about engineering leadership.
Yeah.
Maybe we could start with the engineering leadership piece, and then we can talk about Stude because of you mentioned that like in the future AI engineer are essentially their whole job, or even I don't think that's a future because that's kind of like currently what's happening.
It's
Everyone's today. So everyone's like managing like codecs or cloud code. Like so basically no one's like actually doing the coding itself anymore. So being able to break down really complex engineering task and then working on that task becoming the new generation of um working for engineers. So I think there's two huge I guess like two like I guess like more nuanced question is like one is first of all like I think if you are not coding, how do you be good at coding? And then how do you
oh
even break stuff down to work? And then maybe I'll start with that. So instead of
yeah,
giving you five questions at a time. So
I love it. Amazing. So why don't I answer your first question first
mhm,
on what did I learn along the way and what constitutes to great leadership?
mhm,
I will simplify to I would say three main categories. I think the first one, I think it was on the recent podcast with Amir.
mhm,
Trust and verify. I think
mhm.
as I
Yeah, yeah,
learned when I come up in my career, um, I treat people so well and I want my team to be happy and I
yeah.
didn't verify correctly. Like you do want to make sure your team is doing a good job. Your what you taught with that direct report stuck and they are able to carry that along. I think a lot of strong performers, you trust them a lot and then sometimes you don't really check in with them.
Mhm,
So I think trust and verify is super important. People can look it up. We don't have to go deep into that today. I think the second one that I didn't get to talk about on the podcast is having a really strong vision where you see the team going and really communicate that with sincerity and honesty with the team, because if you come in as a leader and you don't communicate where the team is going, where you see where's the vision, you won't be able to get buy-in and get trust from your team, because they're going to rely on you to tell them where to go. So having a strong vision on where the technical roadmap is going, where the product is going, where the team shape is going, how do you structure your roadmap, and even funding. And I plan to fund this role. I'm going to let you know now, so it's not a surprise when you get pulled in, or when someone starts 2 weeks later, right? Hey, how come this person starts? Make them tell me, wait, I told you. Like, I try to avoid all that questions by being really transparent on the direction and vision. And the third one that I think all leaders, and even in this age of AI, needs to embody now is curiosity. I think curiosity is the key skill you need to navigate and thrive in this AI first era. Getting to know your company, getting to know your business, how are your competitors doing, and getting to know how your team is performing. There was an incident last week, right? Is it a front-end issue, or a back-end endpoint issue, or a database, or is it the edge networks? So having that extra curiosity, I'm surprised how much insights it brought me when I'm just that step more curious of what's happening, and it makes me a better leader. So I'll stop there. I think those are the 3 key points I would pass on leadership lessons.
I think that's really interesting. And I do agree with you on, like, like trust and verify. Like, verify is very important. It's really hard to verify, because that's like a part of like doing their job as well. And then you don't want to micromanage someone.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, if the staff are like not meeting the standard, or like, they're not really collaborating with other team members, or like not even like verifying AI, like it could get into a huge problem. And I want to start with, like, maybe we could talk about Stuut, and then we can talk about the existing, like, how you manage the current team, and then talk about AI as well. So Stuut technology, do you want to give us a demo? So I'm currently on the website, but I feel like you would be better at the demo than me.
Yeah, I could give you a quick overview. Could we share the screen in this?
Yeah, in the present or invite. So it's similar to Zoom. Yeah.
1 second. Let me do this. So while I'm getting set up, Stuut, I would say we are the AI agentic platform for financial operations, starting with the accounts receivable workflow. So in the orders to cash workflow, we have 2 prime products, 2 models today, which is collections and then cash application. So in short, when enterprise do business together, you would have company A and company B agree to purchase goods or services. So you would have an invoice, you have a due date, you have line items, you have the amount. And you'll be surprised how many of these invoices go overdue, because when business transactions kick fire, the rhythm of 2 finance teams, they need to interlock. Right? And okay, we're ready to pay. We're gonna wire you $500,000 for invoice 1, for example. So because of the sheer scale of the commerce invoice and amount of invoice, there are things that sometimes get often overlooked in the finance process. And then Stuut uses AI agents to speed up that process. So you can see it as we are the engine that sits between our customers and cash, and then we speed up the amount of time our customers get cash. We also allow our customers to hire less people in the finance operation, so we lower the cost on their side as well. So I have a window set up, and I'll give you. Are you willing to take a call from our agents? And we can give you a real demo of our voice agents. That's going to be awesome. Okay, 1 second. Let me click share the screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the dashboard that we have, and we show the amount of tasks created by our agents. What are the task types? These are the collections UI, where you see the invoices being under collection, and with collections, there is the second model that I didn't talk about, which is Cash App. Cash App is when companies get paid, and Stuut detects the wire transfer coming in, and we know who sends money to, and dissects that amount of money. For example, if if company A wires company B $1 million and it's paid across the free invoice, we're able to dissect that $1 million. That $1 million, say, okay, $500,000 goes to invoice one, another $200,000 goes to invoice two, and all that. And when we're able to match the cash, that's when we can close the invoice. That's how we speed up the orders to cash workflow process. So I'm gonna give you a demo of. So let's pick this one. Invoice 99131. The customer is Brickhaven. I'll give you a call. May I know your phone number?
I don't want to give it out on like this live stream because it's like actually live.
Oh, okay. What's the best way to do this? I guess this is the overview of the platform today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe we just like do without me giving out the phone number online.
Okay.
We can use a fake phone number. Can we use a fake phone number, or
we can use a fake phone number, and it would try to call it.
Okay, sure. We can just use like 1 2 3 4 5 or something.
Okay. It's best if we can show the voice call. I can show the voice the call recording as well. Okay, so when that call kicks off, our AI agents makes the call. We also record the call. We record the sentiment of the call, so then our users can come and review those recordings and decide on what are the next steps of the collection strategy. So with this, I also want to segue into how the outreach platform is built. So we use a platform called LiveKit for voice, and we have 3 outreach modes. We have voice call, we have text, and we have email. And we use all these 3 modes to form a holistic outreach strategy. For example, if there's a payee who pays really well with a high number of cash that they do commerce, so we wouldn't call them often because they're great. They have a great track record. So they would maybe text them to remind them a day before, and we let them pay as they would, and then send an email to say thank you towards the end. But for departments that are chronically late, so that we would text before, call them before, call them after. Right? The outreach strategy would be different, or send an email afterwards. So it's a very comprehensive strategy depending on the types of business, the vertical, and then the state of the account. And then segueing also into the roadmap of this year. So we're looking to other models that will enable more workflows within the finance operations team. For example, credit and risk, seeing the health of the account, cash forecast, collections forecast. And segue a bit, we use a platform called LiveKit. So if you go to ChatGPT, you switch to voice mode that is built on top of LiveKit. So we aim to be the best finance ops in the industry with the best voice experience. And we're using the same tech as ChatGPT voice, and we are platform agnostic. So for voice, we leverage models from Cartesia, from 11 Labs, and then for the infrastructure itself, I think this segues nicely into what we wanted to talk about today, which is AI strategy. So we are AI agnostic. Think of it as every workflow in the platform today, there's an engine that solves a particular problem. And that engine, my team can pick an engine from the different families, meaning it can be from Anthropic, it can be from OpenAI, it can be from Gemini. So that's the engine, that's the LLM. And we pair it with a skills file, we pair it with an instructions file. The same way that you would give instructions to a human at their job description. So, hey, AI, this is your goal. This is what I need you to do. These are your guardrails. This is an example of a good call. This is an example of a bad call. And we use the same pattern in coding as well. So we pair LLMs with a skills file. And very similar to how Claude gets built, we are inspired by the architecture of Claude, and we take it and we apply it to both the code as well, and also how we structure the product. So I'll take a pause there. That's on the overview of the platform itself.
For sure. I have so many questions. One is like, so maybe we can start from the business logic. So, and then we can go into the product and then the technology behind it. So first of all, like, are you guys selling to like the SMBs, or is this more towards like, enterprise level of like work? And then like another question is like, we had the founder of Maxima on the pod as well. So they are building the AI infra for like finance org as well. So I feel like they're more towards like, the Fortune 500 or like some kind of like later stage companies. And when I see the demo as well as like the whole like vibe of the Stuut, like obviously it's more towards like younger, and then more towards like I feel like as a small business owner or like startup, like they can feel like it's like a friendly use case. And I'm curious like which type of company are you guys like going after, and then we could talk about the business logic as well. Also saying hi to Givini. We'll answer your question later.
That's great. So we sell to all verticals. We have a healthy mix of SMBs, mid-market, and also enterprise logos. I say personally, my thought is that with AI, it's a lot easier to find companies that are moving fast in the mid-market space, and we have a huge traction
Mhm,
in that part of the funnel. We work with companies like Medtronic, Verifone, Perkin-Elmer's, and we have customers in both the US and also in Europe. We're looking into APAC later this year.
mhm,
Honeywell, for example, and with logos that I can't name, but we do have enterprise logos in the funnel as well. And
mhm.
we aim to be the best in the industry. This is where I also bring the learnings and the enterprise readiness from GitLab as well. So yeah.
Mhm. I was wondering, so is the primary use case as like billing, or is this like finance operation? Like, so for not finance operation, but I guess like it's more towards like, you actually do their accounting.
No, we don't do the whole bookkeeping for them. We start with the orders to cash workflow. I think that's where I call it the heartbeat of commerce, because that's how business gets paid, right? Like if you enable how customers get paid and you speed it up, then you can jump off and springboard from there to go into other models. I think at Stuut, I want to talk about our values. I think it's on the front page. Stand in front of the bear for your customers. So we are customer obsessed. We solve our customers' problems, and
Mhm,
with a very young company and a very small team, we move really fast. So if we find a problem that is going to be useful for the business, it lines up with the strategy and how we scale. We don't discount that. We will move on it, and we will jump on building the next best feature for our customers.
mm. I wonder, so what feature do you feel like, oh, I have a question on the voice part. So how is the current people collecting cash? So as like a small business owner or like as like a
Mm.
startup owner, typically everybody just use like I send you a Stripe link and then you pay and then we're good.
Yeah.
And like, what is the how does like the traditional companies, like a Honeywell, like how are they kind of bill their own stuff? And then as someone who have like clients in like bigger companies, so I feel like them going through procurement, it's a lot towards like like we have to sign a contract. I have to verify the contract. You have to verify the contract, and then we
Mhm.
negotiate. And then there is like so and so is going to send cash, but you have to register your own like company onto their platform, and everybody's using like 5 platforms. Like it could be Zip, it could be like some other stuff as a creator or like influencer. There's like
Yeah.
Lemuno, like so it's like literally like 600 different platforms that you have to put your stuff in, and then whenever you change. I think like every year you have to like redo the WA, WNet, or like whatever that is. So the entire process is becoming like 5 years, and then I don't think it's like a on call I could just like solve it immediately. How do you solve the problem of like you have a different system, I have a different system? It's sort of like an AI agent, like
Yeah.
a cloudbot equivalent that can just cloud my information into that, and then how do you keep the information secure?
Amazing. Great. So let me start from the top first. How do we see our customers do commerce today?
Mhm, mhm,
I think because finance is a highly regulated, sensitive topic, verification is super important. You would find like smaller shops that are still doing paper-based, so PDFs, right? You would
mhm,
have mid-market that have a fragmented set of tools that is different from the enterprise, and
mhm,
like, there are tons of players. We integrate with 27, I believe that's the number now. With we integrate with 27 ERP systems, and we test them. We want to make sure our customers have their systems of record and source of truth that is accurate, secure, and high quality.
mhm,
So it's a blend of fragmentation of systems of record, and I think this is where it excites me. This is an opportunity for Stuut to go in and be a category leader in this space, because there's smaller shops that do still do paper-based, medium size that uses ERP, but there's one commonality here where communication is spread out, fragmented, and still very much organic. Email, calls, SMS, whatever it takes to get someone paid, our customers will leverage that medium. So it's a great opportunity for us, and we're very excited for it. I want to talk about the second question on the source of truth, right? I think the systems of record and source of truth is built on a collection of systems today, and that source of truth moves around depending on which system gets updated first. So with Stuut, with our AI agents, workflow, and our integration, we come in with a sense of leadership on our product strategy to bring to make sure our customer systems are fully synced, right? So when customers use Stuut, I wanted to be confident that, okay, if I use Stuut, I'm sure that Stuut will integrate with all my systems and make sure that everything is synced. We have read and write back. We have a ton of that on the roadmap today, where if something gets updated in the platform, we make sure our customers are working in the way they're working right now, and we don't disrupt them. I believe great AI agents, great AI systems reduce the manual workload. Like, we don't create a drag on the current process, but we come in with a sense of leadership where our customers, if they use Stuut, they will get their systems all synced together, and they will get a collection of the same thing, source of truth and the systems of record. I forgot the last question you asked me. I think it was about AI and the future.
Yeah, so we can talk about the AI in the future. I'm just taking notes on like the you mentioned about the system and record. So I think like I was asking about like the business logic. So like it's like I think you addressed part of it as like how you guys kind of like integrate like AI agent into this system. But like I'm just curious about like if basically every company have like a different set of system, right? Like how do you make sure that like you only enter the information once and then it could be collaborated with the rest of the billing universe, as like I try to bill you but you are using a different system, you're like, can you fill in this form instead of me filling the form, come to just help me fill this form? Or
got it. Okay. I think I recall that question. I think it was security. I'll talk about it in
security.
a second.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, how do I like basically I have to storage my account info, I have to storage my wire transfer number, my social security sometimes, like, and my address, like literally everything that could be verified as me to a system of record, right? So
great. So I'll talk about the first point first, which is a consistent data plane. So the method that we ensure our customers has a collection of systems of record is writebacks. But writebacks is a method of syncing the systems together. Before we do that, Stuut is very opinionated on accuracy and correctness. So we will verify with multiple sources before we make a decision that this is the correct information that we can propagate back to the customer systems. Like, for example, when we look at cash application per se, when a data transfer comes in, when a money transfer comes in, we look back, we match the invoice. We have our LLMs as a judge to, okay, what is the correctness of this transfer? We pull other sources, we pull the invoice, we make sure that all the invoice number is unique, so there's only one invoice, and then we double and triple check the sources in the system before we make an opinionated decision that, okay, this is now the truth, and then we propagate back to the systems that we integrate with. On the security side, we treat security as a feature at Stuut, because in finance you can be 99% accurate. You have to be 100% accurate, and you need to have security and reliability at top of mind. So we use a security vault called Skyflow. It's the Stuut vault. So we drop all the personal identifiable information at the front door. We tokenize it, we randomize it into a token before it even lands into our systems. So we operate on data that has already been cleaned and filtered out at the front door with Skyflow. And then if somehow vaulting it, tokenizing it breaks, we abort immediately. So we don't touch sensitive data in our system. That ensures our system is security first, even before any logic is applied to those business workflows, and then taken action upon by our agents further down the line.
I wonder, yeah, I feel like that's like definitely something very important for I guess like for the security to be prioritized. I guess like before we jump into all the tools that you're using for your own company, I want to quickly shout out to hi Gabriel. So I'm curious about like when you're ensembling the team and building the product, maybe we could start with like, since you mentioned about the business logic, so like focusing on the transaction piece, it's like very, very important. Maybe we could start with like, as the CTO, like how do you structure your own team, and how do you kind of like I guess break down the work to various different people, and how do you judge their performance and what cadence to make sure everybody's moving to the same direction?
That's great. Yeah, I think this has changed a lot in the past 2 years. So just to give you a sense of scale, when I joined GitLab, I had a team of 3 people, and these 3 people were 3 to 4 years before I joined, so I had to build their trust. When I left GitLab, I had a team of around 240 people, and it was a different way of working, different way of leading. I think that's an end of an era because that was pre-AI. Today, it's about who has the smallest team and running the fastest. Think about how Instagram sold to Meta 10 years ago, where it's just a team of, I think, 8 people. It's an amazing, it's an amazing model to be inspired. So if you look at Stuut today, the product itself, like, you would think it's a 30 to 40 engineering team. It's only 12 people, and the teams before AI, you would have a team of probably around 6 to 7 people. You do Scrum, you have a PM, you have a designer. At Stuut, one swim lane, one feature is only 2 people pairing together. It's one front end and back end, or a full stack and full stack. And we work cloud code native with planning mode, with all the Cloud MD files, and the team runs super fast. So they pair together, they ship as fast as they can. We have forward deploy engineers, and we put our engineers as close to the customer as possible, and we do not have product managers. And it's entire org size today is probably 12 to 14, a team of 2, and they pair on collections, they pair on outreach, they pair on Cash App. Disputes and deductions is the newer modules that we have today that makes sure the amount of cash that's being applied at the end is accurate, with trade promotions, with credit memos, with remittance data. And then that's the same model we use to spin up new models later today with a voice platform team, credit and risk, forecasting. And then how I it's a very lean team, pair programming. We also hiring for AI leads, and this AI specialist is on rotation that will help guide these feature teams. So a team of 3, front end, back end, and 1 AI pair together, and then we rotate the AI folks. So like team size of the 3 to 4 max. Security, infrastructure, and quality is only a team of 1. These are senior ICs or someone who has been in management but love to go back to a principal IC level, for example, and they work AI native first. So 1 person spinning up multiple agents, doing the work for them, leading the vision. So it's a very lean team. So that's the plan to grow and build on the team this year. On verifying and performance management, at Stuut, we try to hire people that will run this company like it's their own. High agency, urgency. We truly believe urgency creates headroom, and speed wins in the market. This has been true since the waterfall days, the agile days, and now, especially now, super important in the AI native era. Speed is your moat. So it's very transparent team, very small team. We know pretty fast when someone is underperforming because they can run as fast as their peers, they don't have output. And coaching and feedback is given very fast on the spot. Like we move really fast. It's such a small team that I don't think waiting for a performance review cycle, like big companies do, would scale here. It's really fast. We're still a very small team in Series A going into Series B, and like the execution time here when we were at Series A going into B matters a lot, right? Because that's how you create the arc of a great exit. It's like from A to B. It will decide on your next jump from B to C and then C to D. So this year is a critical year for us, moving really fast, hiring great people, and sometimes saying goodbye fast as well. As soon as you identify that someone's not working out, you give them a few chances. You don't see a trend of improving, or you see the same feedback being given 3 to 5 times. That's a big flag. Okay, this person is not learning. And one of the things I like to say, I try to embody it as best I can and tell the team, is that feedback is a blessing. If someone points something out to you that you didn't do a good job on, that's your opportunity to improve. And we try to do a better job every day. It's going to be a challenging journey. It won't be an easy journey, but every day is a chance to learn and be better. The last thing I want to mention is creating a safe space for the team to learn and improve. Because if you're not hitting your limit, you're not growing. And to hit your limit, sometimes you have to fail, but you need to fail in such a way that you learn from it. You communicate to your stakeholders, your team, and your customers that, hey, this is what we learned. It's not going to happen again because we made all these fixes, right? And then that's the plan for this year, in short.
Totally. I wonder, so when you're hiring people, so I guess like one thing I'm curious about, like you mentioned about like basically hire and fire fast, because like you have to like just make sure that companies keep moving. Like if someone's like taking the same feedback like 3 to 5 times, it's like still not really growing, like you have to like really move on. What if you have like a really urgent deadline, and then like, obviously let's say the person's performing as like a 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. It's like, yeah, they're doing the core piece somewhat, like that they're doing as like they're just basically a C student. Like they did it good enough that's like, it's not like, obviously it's like it's critical to fire them. But however, like, you don't have to fire them right away because you have like a deadline coming up. How do you think about, obviously I'm not saying this is like your company situation or something, but I feel like I think the leadership management is more towards like a lot of like opaque gray area of like people are not performing as fast, or like they're less motivated, or like, they're either you have the capable but not motivated people, or you have the non-capable but motivated people. So how do you kind of like basically like hire the team that, like, would you hire the capable but non-motivated people to motivate them, or would you hire the not capable or like needed training people, but like generally motivated?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the signal that I look for is grit, because people that are motivated but not capable, we can talk in terms. I think there are two ways that someone can be incapable. One is the skills, right, and one is maybe a mental state. So I try to look for people with high grit, and they may not be the the highest capable person at the time, but if that person doesn't give up, always take feedback as a blessing, always try to improve. I think I would take that person over someone who is in really good but then gives up easily and but lacks a grit. I think if there was a TED talk 2 years ago, and one of the prime signals of how a person will be successful later in life is actually grit. It's that mental strength, that resiliency of not giving up in the face of challenges and hardship.
I have a sub question on that. So one is like, with the startup budget, like you're probably going to encounter people that are like, obviously, I mean, the best case scenario is like they have grit, they love this startup, they love the idea, they want to solve the world's biggest problem. That's great. But the problem is like a lot of people are doing it as a job, right? So like they're
Yeah.
just thinking of their own career. It's like they want to gain some skill and then chill a little bit, travel the world while working remotely or something. So they have like a different goal and agenda. Obviously, I think like that comes down to ambition. Like, sure, I could be very hardworking. However, I'm only working as hard as like I need to get a paycheck this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with people that are more like the realistic people that are like, or, like they have a life to live and then their whole ambition is not like be the CTO one day, but their ambition
Mm-hmm.
is to not get fired and then do a okay job, right? How do you kind of manage this kind of people?
I try personally. I would try not to hire them in the first place if
Mhm.
you are able to figure it out.
Right.
But I understand that this is sometimes a gray area that you never know until someone is able to do a trial of 2 or 3 months, and you figure it out. I think my suggestion would be to figure out as fast as you can
Mhm.
and see if this person is in it for the long haul. Again, like agency at Stuut is you do what's needed for the business, and
Mhm.
if you're waiting for something, it means something is broken.
Mhm.
And that also comes with low ego. If someone is helping someone, then someone else is being the person that is receiving help has to make sure that they don't feel that they're threatened, or they that this person is trying to make me look bad. Like, no, like we all one team. So low ego, humility, high agency, high urgency. That's those are the traits we try to screen for fast in the beginning, and then you would have like
Mhm.
a 2 to 3 months of trial on board. Can they find things out by themselves without their manager telling them what to do? Can they go figure things out? Can they take leadership? Can they solve problems for the team? And if you identify that person is not a fit, then you would have to move fast, because I think the way companies operate, the way business operate, is very different now with the age of AI.
Mhm.
Someone can buy code something really fast, so the competition is high too. You want A players on the team.
Mm. Speaking of A players, where do you find them?
Oh man, we do a ton of recruiting, outreach, cold calls. We tap into our investor network. So a huge shout out to our investors, Activant, Coachella Ventures, and Andreessen. They've been a huge help for us as well. So hiring from networks, hiring from referrals, signing up for LinkedIn Premium, and just stalk people on LinkedIn and tap them on the shoulder. Hey, I'm the CTO of Stuut. Would you like to join? We work with a ton of great recruiting partners as well, and we have four of them online today that we work with
I
for
think
yeah.
another question I had was like, okay, so you want to hire someone with the experience in your particular domain, right? And then the
Mm,
problem is like if you hire someone with your particular domain, they probably have worked with like a competitor before. And how do you navigate the part that like they're not gonna leak your stuff to the past coworker or like, obviously I feel like this is like a more common question than like a Stuart question, but like it's like how do you make sure that like if you hire someone in the industry, they're not gonna like disclose it to their friends? Like if you guys are working on some like secret or like technology mode, that's like, obviously everyone's like um mode is kind of like a 6-month period or like even 3-month period because of like how fast AI is moving. So idea, I would say matter more than ever because of
mm,
like how fast stuff are moving. And then the other part is like if you're hiring the non-industry people, you have to train them from scratch. And then the
yeah,
problem is like they are probably cheaper, but they just need more time for you to like
yeah,
really get a ton of like what's going on. Like which part would you kind of like take on first? Like how do you kind of scope like like scout the people who are like joining basically?
yeah. Um, so this is what our CEO Tarek taught me. It's looking for people with high slope, so high career trajectory. And if you're looking for high slope, you would have space for a variable that is something new to them. So they've done this before in this role, but they
Mhm.
have to change the industry, say like from legal to finance. Then I think that's a safe bet. And past record predicts future success. So given
Mhm.
that they have this great track record, right? You're giving them an opportunity to grow into something new that they
Mhm.
are willing to learn.
But the
Yeah.
but my curiosity is if they change so many times, like wouldn't that be like a negative sign? As like I'm like, oh, you're in legal today, you're in finance, tomorrow you're in like real estate, and then like how are you gonna I think the people who are like the most ambitious, they at the end of the day, they want to start something themselves, right? Like unless they're like in
Mhm.
like a C-level position at block company X. I feel like the most ambitious person, they don't want to work for anybody else. So how do you kind of balance the ego thing when you hire like a quote unquote A player?
Yeah. So the people that are high performers, of course, you would see them start their own company. By the way, my intern back at a startup called Airware, he's now a CEO of a stealth company. I just had dinner with him in New
Mhm.
York a month ago. So like you would want to keep them
Mhm.
up with them in
Mhm.
their career as well, because you never
Mhm.
know, they might be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Who knows, right? So with that type of career trajectory, I mean, it'll be a great opportunity for them to contribute to your company when they are there, and you keep them
Mhm.
motivated. Right? You keep them. What's the next challenge you want to work on? Keep them motivated. Hopefully, you able to leverage their power for or leverage their execution for 2 to 3 years that they're there with the company. Um, Going back to your first question, where they're switching many times, right? And then short stints. The flip side of that coin is job hopping. So I try to screen for that as well. If a candidate is spending just 1 year stints in like 5 companies, different domains, different types of teams, then it's a signal that this person wasn't there, didn't stick around when times were tough. So that's also a balance that you need to navigate. That you want to see 2 years, a few 2 year stints, and then a trajectory like intermediates to senior, senior to staff, and when they reach a certain level, they might want to switch around. They might pick on like from backend to security, for example, or from backend to infrastructure. So there's that's a lateral move in the career trajectory as well. So it's not a one size fits all. But when you have these frameworks in mind, when you screen through resumes and LinkedIn, you could figure it out pretty fast on where they land and what the past trajectory is.
Mm. Um, I wonder, so like, okay, so how do you set KPIs for your team? So for example, also like how do you kind of like cancel out on the feature that you don't want to build? Because I think like the problem of like managing a team is like you could be building anything at any time.
Yeah.
And like the selection of like what not to do is more important than what to do sometimes. Because you could be building like an internal tool or like you could be building like, like 5 client feature that are needed by different industry. Like how do you in let's say in your Monday meeting, like what are you supposed to talk about with the, the CEO, the like, other people in your company to be like, hey, here's like the product we need to work on right now.
Okay. I think the first question was on deciding what not to build,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I think you have to have an answer to that. If you don't, it means you're just building everything, so you're not
Yeah.
opinionated.
Mhm.
I think the fun part of working at Stuut is you are adjacent to your customers,
Mhm.
and you get signals pretty fast on what what is working and what's not. We have design partners that work with us both in the mid market and also enterprise space. So the way I look at it is, uh, as you boot up new design partners, the first
Mhm.
ones you would have to build everything because you're learning
Mhm.
the whole entire system. As you get more design partners booted up, you need to find in math it's the common denominator of okay,
Mhm.
what's the common theme you see within this vertical, and if you have multiple verticals, you can
Mhm.
put that take some notes, but you want to start looking at each verticals, what is the most common denominator that you
Mhm.
should be building, and be opinionated on that and start enhancing that workflow to make it the best in class in the industry.
Mhm.
Segueing back to one of my past startups that I was at, this is one of the lessons I learned is we were a feature factory for many clients.
Mhm.
Two logos came to mind was Netflix and then Kaiser, and then we shipped probably 15 features for Netflix and then another 15 features for Kaiser. And then we didn't do our homework of normalizing it into one opinionated platform, and we just let that sprawl for many, many customers. And that it became like an unopinionated product. I think at Stuut, we have a very strong go-to-market leadership team. I think Ben and Tarek is probably the best sales leader I've ever met in my career. So my goal is to bring the best in engineering, and this is the dream team. So we do a pretty good job of taking a good pulse of what not to build, what our customers' needs are today, and bringing on new leaders in the finance space to make sure we're building the right things. And it's a matter of prioritization. What's the low-hanging fruits that will knock out all the check boxes for a given vertical? Like you build what's the most impactful for a good chunk of customers, and then for customization, try a few, and then find a common denominator and add it to the roadmap.
I wonder, I totally agree with you on like, find the low-hanging fruit and then build what's like the most impactful. How is a decision made by like the whole exact team, or like how does the engineering function kind of like fitting into, obviously living in Silicon Valley, everyone knows like engineer is like the tier one at the company status. But I guess like how do you guys like kind of like collaborate with the rest of the team, and then like how does the reporting kind of internally look like? Because I think for the early stage startup, like if you're two guys out of YC, you're probably just yapping with someone like next to you, and then you're good. Like the Monday meeting is 5 minutes because everyone have to build. But like for you guys, when you guys are scaling the organization, scaling the product, scaling the team, how do you collaborate with like other teammates? Because of everybody is an exec in their own work. There's people selling, there's people doing the eng work. How does the kind of like orchestration between the team kind of works?
Yeah, great. So we don't have a Monday meeting, but we have a Tuesday meeting, and we
Okay.
don't meet every week. We meet bi-weekly because we want to give back time to our teams to build. So we try to do as little red tape as possible, but it's still a Series A company. I think I don't even have a staff meeting on a weekly basis like what I had at GitLab. It's a very different pace. The teams work fast, organic in Slack, quick huddles, making sure the cloud planning is correct and we build the right things, doing demos. But we do have a source of truth in project management, which is we use a tool called Linear. It's a very lightweight one tool that can do everything from road mapping, from task planning. In the old days, it's like epics and stories. We don't do task planning anymore because the engineers are doing it in Claude code planning themselves, and we track the feature lane epics, for lack of a better term, in just at that level, and then they weekly status updates from the team. And we have Claude code that summarizes what has been shipped. So we look at all the PRs, we link it to the tickets, and then have human be driving the AI, producing code, and then have AI do the work for us, doing the accounting, doing the bookkeeping for us. And we have a source of truth. And I'm doing the work of making sure things are updated, making sure that the deadlines are correct. And it's a very lightweight process.
I wonder, so when you're thinking about like growing the team for the future, so maybe we're gonna start with like what is one AI trend that you feel like would be huge this year?
Oh wow, okay.
Because last year obviously it's agent. So if you say agent, it's illegal. So
I think this changes every 2 weeks. I don't know. Everything new just pops up every 2 weeks. So I'll give you a few thoughts that came through my mind. I think we are really energized by how Claude Code has been architected. I think planning is really critical now. You really can't go in and just prompt something and expect a good result. It's garbage in, garbage out. And I liken this to the time when our fathers were coding in assembly, and then compilers came along, and then people thought, okay, all the assembly engineers are going to go get out of a job. No, they move up in a higher logic level. They code in C and C++ and Java and Python. Now AI is doing the same thing for programming languages.
Mhm.
So engineers need to move up a higher logic level in the business requirements. So you need to understand your customers, you need to know the business requirements, you need to know the logic, so you can instruct AI to build what you want to build. I think that's the core functionality today. I think testing and security will be super important in the next year or so, and I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
When AI today is increasing the output of our teams,
Mhm.
we've saw this before with Agile. When
Mhm.
teams were working in waterfall, Agile came along, things were broken down into smaller digestible pieces, and you had Scrum, you had Agile. What happened then? The output of the team sped up. Like people were shipping fast, we were deploying every day, deploying every week. That caused a spike in output of code and also the entropy in the system. What happened after that was we shift quality left. Okay, that we can't have a QA team anymore. You need to write unit tests, you need to write integration tests, and shift quality left. We will see a shift quality left with AI. And the first thing that Stuut is doing now is we update the Claude MD files as soon as we know something is wrong and as soon as we know something. So when the engineers generate code, the learnings, the new guideline is already baked in when the code is being generated with the LLMs. And I think you will see more of this becoming critical in the future because AI is going to increase the throughput of code. We need to make sure that things don't break, things are secure, things are highly reliable, and that'll be a focus in the coming year. I also think vibe code could be a UI. Like now you have voice. Everyone can vibe code now. So your customers will expect your platform to provide some sort of vibe coding capabilities, dashboard building, for example. Whisper flow coding with voice came up. Like, so you should expect if you sell to a CFO, he will spin up Whisper code and maybe Clawbot and say, hey, build me a dashboard, right? You should be talking on the same wavelength and providing some of that capabilities in your platform. So then your customer is doing that workflow on your platform instead. I think that's where the next gen UI is moving. It's like quick value creation, vocal, voice, and also prompting. Those are the three things that came up to my mind. Of course, I can't ignore Clawbot, having agents running 24/7. Then you wake up to an output and maybe some thought process of the LLM itself. That has been super energizing to see in the past few weeks.
I was wondering, so for one thing you mentioned about at the very beginning is like you guys are using Cartasia and 11 Labs. So for the voice model to work, like how is it kind of like ensembled basically?
Yeah, so I want to segue into hiring. We are hiring strong engineers to join our voice team as well.
Oh, I may have someone for you tonight at the
Great.
yeah.
Send it over. So I think this is where going back to looking at natural language processing, the tonality and the temperature really matters, and the pause and the response. In the human language, when you communicate, the tone matters. Even the accent sometimes matters. If you're calling someone that is unhappy or they're already having a bad day, they need to wire you $500,000. Like be cautious on what accent, what tone you're using really matters. Getting that signal early on will set you up for success on what model you want to pick, how you want to dissect the message, or should you proceed with empathy first and then ask them that can I send you a payment link later? Structuring the tone matters. And I also want to segue a bit into NLP, natural language processing. I think you really, to build a great product, you need to know how the human mind works, because you're in the end you're building an AI system that's going to interact with a human. So for you to make sure that message lands effectively and the human would take action with your system, you need to really understand the psychology, the mindset, and how the human mind works. I think that will allow you to build a better product.
I totally agree. Okay, so what is one AI tool that okay, so I want to be mindful of time. Maybe we do one real question and then 1 minute fire round. Um, what is in your AI tool stack right now that you feel like is non-obvious for people?
Not obvious.
Yeah.
Cloud code is probably not obvious. I think they really brought planning mode to life. and then they made every engineers a manager of an AI agent, an agentic coding team.
Oh, how is it like ensemble? Like, so it's like you are using Cloud Code to code, and then like I guess how is like integrated to the company's ecosystem?
Great. Okay. So my engineers, they probably run 3 to 5 agents locally on the laptop any given time. Use a planning mode, use sub-tree, sub-agents, and then push codes into CI. So I think 3 to 5 agents running locally. In CI, there are probably 10 more agents watching the code. My team does a pretty good job of when they learn something, they'll put it in CI. So our CI job used to be hard-coded tests. The CI job today is okay. This workload, sorry, this verification point is Claude Code, and their job is to watch for linting rules. This other verification point is Claude Code, Opus or Sonnet or whatever, and their job is to watch for the architectural code, the architectural patterns based on the Claude MD files that we have already generated. In our code base, you will see Claude MD files everywhere in the database folder, in the front-end folder, in the back-end folder, with guidelines on what to write, what not to write. For example, this is a query that you should write so you make sure it's performant. This is an example of a query you shouldn't write because it's going to cause N+1 issues down the line. So that's how we work on and assembled before it goes into CI. And then CI, there's probably 10 more agents watching for linting, architecture, performance, security, all the great stuff we want to check before code gets merged. And then we have a staging environment with agents also simulating testing and workload, load testing, and then deploying to prod. And we have testing in prod and monitoring in prod as well. This is where I learned from GitLab is the platform methodology. Is you should be spending your time building on what's your IP, your strength of the business. And if something is going to get commoditized, just buy it. And we use tools like ingest. Ingest is like temporal. It's like an event processing system. We use Skyflow for PII. These are going to get commoditized. Just buy it and then assemble it. It's like you're in a restaurant, in a Subway restaurant, and you're building sandwiches. Like everything is pre-made. You just pull it out, assemble, and go. Pull it out, assemble, and go. We move that fast, right? So you would see us using the latest tools in the industry, moving fast, and we are platform agnostic. We want to hot swap our LLMs when the time is needed. We see LLMs as an engine with families. So I can swap Gemini out today for Claude, right? And then the user experience is the same, if not better. And then we do the same for other parts of the tools too. So we have, for example, we have more than one tools for a given category, so we can hot swap them if one of the providers is deemed unreliable or unstable. Because at the end, with a financial product, you need to be accurate, you need to be precise, you need to be reliable and secure. In addition to all the great finance workflow that you're building.
I think that's super interesting. I really like your sandwich metaphor. Like, if it's not core to your business, you don't have to build it. Okay, so 30-second fire round before I let you go. So what's your favorite book?
Ooh, there's a book called Mastery. It's an Aikido instructor that also works in tech, and it talks about the boring time before you get to mastery. So when you are an expert at a certain topic, like you hit a plateau, and then that boring period is when sometimes people drop off and they don't become masters in their field. So being in a boring state, being repetition, this goes back to practicing on the mat, coming to the dojo every day at 5 a.m. and just getting bored. And then 2 years pass, everything clicks, and now you understand that the domain, right? I think it's the same with everything, where you need to spend boring time with yourself and getting to know your topic, really immerse in it. And then after you earn your stripes or your flying hours, then it finally clicks into the end where, okay, now I truly understand that topic or that domain.
Who would you invite to your dinner party?
Who would I invite to a dinner party? Ooh, man, this is a tough question. I would say the creative Cloud Code, Boris. I'd love to pick his brain. Yeah, it's done amazing stuff, and my team follows his Twitter. So Boris, if you're watching, thank you.
Who made the biggest impact in your career?
Ooh, um, probably my ex-boss. He was the first CTO at GitLab. His name is Eric Johnson. He's a cultural of interest now. So he was my skip level, the startup before, and then he was the one that really molded me when I was taking on the senior leadership journey, and then learn a ton from him.
Where can we find you outside of work?
You will find me at you will find me at Stuut. That's work. So I spend my time in New York and stuff most of the time, and then if not outside of work, you see me at the gym, hiking, and yeah, and I'm a homebody, so I'll be at home reading a book, cooking, and enjoying some quiet time.
Love that. Well, Mac, thank you so much for coming with the show today. It was such a fun conversation about engineering leadership.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you for having me and Stuart on your show.
Let me quickly end.